Welcome fantasy nerds, I am Melinda, aka that Cosmere chick, and this is my first official YouTube video, and I'm so excited. If you're watching this video is proof that you can start a project, completely drop it, tell yourself that you're gonna get back to it, and then actually do get back to it. It is a miracle. I started this project back in October 2023, and now it is the beginning of 2025. So this has been a long time in the making. From the first moment that I had this book in my hands and I was leafing through it, I absolutely knew that I wanted to recreate this teacup in the end pages, and that is what we're doing today. If this is a book that you haven't read, feel free to keep watching. There will be no spoilers here. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and I will show you my process as I make a pretty darn good replica of this teacup. So the first step of making this replica teacup starts in Blender. This is a 3D modeling software that's free to use, and I've slowly been learning more and more how to use it. The first step for this was to import a screen grab of the illustration of this cup. Then I import a Bezier curve, and what I'm doing here is trying to match the exact silhouette of the cup. I want this to be as accurate as possible and have a really good representation of this cup. I take that curve, match it, and then once I have that curve selected, have it go 360 degrees around. So you see here, it makes that really good silhouette. Then I started doing the same thing. There's two parts of this cup. There's the top, and then there's this little pedestal that it's sitting on. And I basically did the exact same thing. Here I am, importing in the Bezier curve and trying to get it to match precisely. There is another detail that I wanted to add, and that is a little bevel to the bottom of the cup and the top. That was something that I saw in the illustration that I wanted to make sure that I replicated. So I took one of the loop cuts, extruded it out, and then beveled it, and that gives it this little tiny lip. There's the one on the bottom, and here I am doing it to the top as well. I just think this is a nice little detail that makes it more book accurate. This whole project took me minutes. It was really fast. The hardest part was making the handle, and I have since learned that I did this wrong. First, I imported a circle, made it into an oval, and then extruded that oval up so I have this kind of weird cylinder thing. And I took that cylinder and I brought it over to our illustration of the handle, and this is where this took me hours. This took me like literally an entire day because I basically select the top face of our cylinder, extrude it out, and try to match it to the silhouette of the handle. And watching this now is so painful because I have since learned that there is a much easier way of doing this. But you know, it's kind of a rite of passage for new 3D modelers to do something the most slow and arduous way possible and then learn that you could have done it a lot faster. So yeah, it's a rite of passage, and I don't know, especially doing this bottom curve of the cup, that took so long. I've since learned that I could have done the same thing I did before, put in a Bezier curve, make it match the silhouette, and then change some of the settings so that I can make it into the perfect thickness that I want. Should have done that, didn't know it at the time, but hey, it looked good at the end. And basically, once I had this handle done, I connected it to the cup, and that was basically it for the 3D modeling. And after that, we are on to the printing. Now, I have a resin 3D printer that I absolutely love. Resin prints just come out so much smoother than a PLA printer, but it has its drawbacks. As you can see, I had a mask and I'm putting on gloves because resin is actually quite toxic to humans. You want to be a little wary of that and be super careful when you're handling resin. This printer has a chamber with a filter, and it's supposed to filter out all the fumes as you print, but yeah, it kind of does that, not really. You still have to wear a mask. This resin printer is really cool because you fill up basically a basin full of liquid and the plate lowers down into the liquid, and then we have a 4K screen or an 8K screen, I can't remember, that basically shows each layer at a time, and it hardens one layer at a time, and that's how you get such smooth prints. But the problem with this is you have to be quite meticulous in cleaning your prints afterwards. So here I am kind of trimming off any knots on there, and now I have a paper towel that is soaked in isopropyl alcohol, and I'm just wiping off any excess residue just to make sure that there's nothing left, because you really cannot be touching that residue with your skin. You have to make sure that the print is completely cleaned off. It's a bit of a process with resin printing, but I think it's worth it. Now I am setting up the curing chamber, basically artificial sunlight to harden the resin. And once this process is done, it's time to fix one of my printing issues. There's this weird lip that occurred. I don't know why. Quick side note, there was a moment where I thought, okay, sanding can't improve this, so I have to do something else, and I started putting polymer clay on it instead. Don't do that. Not a good idea. It didn't work. It was a disaster. Moving on. Now at this point in the process, I had made some really great strides in making my replica teacup. I had modeled the cup, I had printed the cup and sanded it. Until one fateful night that completely hindered my progress for a while. This is the reason why it is now 2025 that I am publishing this video. Dun dun dun. It's not that serious, but nevertheless, it is a point that happened on my journey in making this replica, and so I figure it's worth showing here. And now, a word from 2023, Melinda. I just got home from work, had a really long day. I'm scrolling on my phone. Dragonsteel just put out this post about their new Tress cup and how they're going to be selling it at the convention, which is great. I love that the fans get to have that. I've been crunching so hard on this project, and I thought it would be so cool and so original. It's hard not to be like a little... It's hard not to be a little upset because I've been working so hard on this, and I'm trying not to like lose all of my motivation. I don't want it to look like I'm ripping off Dragonsteel. It's fine. Everything's fine. No, it really is. I have to say it and believe it, and I don't believe it right now because I feel a little bit heartbroken, honestly. I think we all, face disappointment like this. And it's okay to sit with it for a minute and I guess, feel your feelings. Because I feel like for a minute I was just sitting there trying to force myself to be like, it's okay, be okay, you're fine, stop it, whatever. And I'm just like, you know what? It's okay to sit with your feelings for a second. Let them do their thing, feel it, acknowledge it. And this is so stupid. All over a cup. You know what? It's okay. Because journey before destination. That's what this is. This is just part of the journey. And you know what I'm deciding? So this is the cup the Dragonsteel put out. I want to make my cup the original coloring in the book. Because that's what I was trying to do from the get-go. I was trying to make the exact image from the book. So I will continue to do that. You know what? I am starting to feel better because my husband just brought me chicken nuggets. I'm starting to feel better. Food is always the solution, and we are gonna move on.
2 days later.
Okay, I just got done at Dragonsteel. It was a really fun night because I'm volunteering for Dragonsteel Con this year, and so it was cool, but I was able to get a sneak peek of the Tress cup. I held it in my hands, and mine is like 30% bigger. I made my cup really big and I didn't realize that yes, it's a teacup and teacups are small, so that was a bit of an oversight, but I still really like my design that I did, so I'm happy about that. Now, after having held the physical cup in my hands, I kind of got a new punch in the arm for the project and decided, you know what, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go all out and I'm gonna make it amazing. And so I got to brainstorming how I was going to paint the outside of the cup and had a very quick realization: I am not an artist. I think I am a decent drawer, however, painting is so beyond me. I knew I had to bring in an expert, someone who really knew what they were doing and has a lot more experience than I do. And thus enters my good friend Jess, who I messaged over Instagram and said, hey, I have a painting project, would you be interested in doing a collab? And luckily she said yes. I quickly set out starting to print a new cup that was much smaller, more to the scale of what I had seen at Dragonsteel headquarters. So I printed it out. I started sanding the crap out of it to make sure that it would be a nice smooth surface for her to paint on. And then of course did some spray painting layers and primer. Jess was kind enough to film a time-lapse of her painting this cup. This kind of just goes over the whole process of her first initial illustration, getting the design exactly right to the original cup, and then painting. I'm gonna let you just enjoy watching this, because I think it's very cool just seeing the process of how this is made. But I want to say real quick, please go follow her on Instagram. Her handle is JessicaParkerArt. She doesn't only do Cosmere art, she does other stuff as well, but she is a freelance illustrator and art teacher. And I definitely think that we need more support for artists, especially in the age of AI. So please go drop her a follow. I hope you love her art as much as I do. But before I show you the final result, I have one big announcement. I am also launching a Patreon page. Back in 2023, I was a lot more, shall we say, active in the Cosmere community. I hosted a lot of book launch parties for the secret projects, and I hosted regular trivia nights. However, that added a certain financial strain on me to pay for the program I needed for the trivia nights. I use Kahoots, and to pay for like venues and stuff for book launches. I want to start doing that again, but I have realize that I'm at a point where I can't do that without support. So if you want to pop over to my Patreon page and please help contribute to what I'm trying to do, I would appreciate that so much. I do a lot of fun things here and it'll be made a lot more possible if I can get some support. The link is in the description of this YouTube video and I hope to see you there. But enough of me talking, I think it's time I actually show you the cup. And you want to know something? It's been in the background this whole time. Bet you didn't realize that. Let's do a close-up. much for joining me today. If you want to see any more of my videos, be sure to click the subscribe button down below. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok, and I hope to see you again.